All right, everyone. It is 9:44. Good morning. We have two today with you. We have Tawana Andrew joining me for Storm Talk today. Welcome to Storm Talk.
Thank you. I feel so special being here.
Which was for better news here today, as we are dealing obviously with a setup featuring heavy rain and still a severe threat. There's been a lot of questions still on how that will play out as we get to the midday period. But first off, before we get going, can you just run down what you have experienced so far on the sunrise show that we've had today?
It's been, I feel like, nonstop with the radar. As soon as I came in around 1 a.m., I saw that radar was just lighting up in Adair County, and it was just wave after wave of rain. And then we had all of the flash flood warnings, the flood alerts that came out throughout the morning hours. And then we've been looking at the reports of a couple of even water rescues in Breckenridge County and the more flood-prone areas. So it's been a pretty active morning. But it's mainly been the flooding.
The flooding's been the big thing.
So
yeah.
Not so much any severe weather.
Right.
We know yet.
Right. Not yet. Right. And I know that's what everyone's waiting. We're trying to give a little bit of time for everyone to get in to the chat. Again, if you're watching on the app on streaming, or on Roku or Fire Roku or Fire Stick, Roku or Fire Stick, you can't hit the chat button because there's not one. Yeah. You have to go to the social media. So YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. You have an option to type in your question. Tawana's closer to the screen than I am. I can't read that far.
I will.
But she is keeping them because, and again, we're able to flash them up there. Let's see. Tammy is
lots
talking about
of rain and thunder in Marion County.
In Marion County, there. It's been constant rain. Zach says there into Frankfurt. So let me get right into the weather side. This is what everyone I think is really wondering. Where do we stand? First off, we had a little bit of sun there for a while that was showing up in Starlight, Indiana, looking west, but it's clouding back over now. So here's the deal. We are facing a setup that is right now, and at least for the next 2 to 3 hours, is going to be about flooding. And we've got our crews dispatched in different spots. And it's certainly been just south, really, of the Louisville metro that we've run into some of the bigger problems. Looks like a new flood advisory even out for central areas of the state as well. But the flood watch initially came out for southern Kentucky and then was expanded. Now is all the way up into the southern Indiana area. This does not expire until 1 a.m., although it won't be in effect till then. It will likely be canceled early. But we're going to come back around to this in just a second, get to some of the flash flood warnings are still out for Bullitt County and Spencer County here in just a second. Just want to give you guys a quick snapshot of what we're facing. Temperatures. Now, this is important. We've seen a lag on the warmer air pushing into the air with that warm front.
Yeah, we were talking earlier, and it was like 45 in Seymour. Now we've warmed up to 48, but it's still substantially colder further to the north. So we're still watching that warm front trying to make its way further to the north, and it's taking its sweet time, dragging its feet, it seems like, today. And that's going to play a role in how much of course, that severe weather that we can get later on.
And that's just a good thing for some of you that obviously don't want the worst case scenario to happen. It's unlikely we're going to have a worst case scenario with that. That's good.
Yeah.
But this is a very odd setup because it's not just about the heating, although the heating would certainly make things worse. It's more about the moisture flow kicking into the area here in the next few hours. At the moment, you see the rain focus more over Kentucky than it is into Indiana, repeating itself, the training effect, we always call it, over and over and over again. That's led to all these warnings. But look what's happening across areas around Paducah. That's what we're watching and through this spot, because this is where instability is starting to enhance. And notice thunderstorms, and they've had rain in this area, but the actual thunderstorm potential is building. And that's just because they're becoming unstable with a moisture increase under a very powerful wind jet, which I'll show you here in a second. That's aiding in thunderstorm development. That's what we're going to be watching to see how that moves northeast as we head through lunch today, as this will likely be a key factor. All right. More on that again. Tawana, run down the latest here on some of these flash flood warnings we got.
Okay, so we have the flash flood warning for Bullitt, Hardin, Nelson, and Spencer counties. That goes until noon Eastern time. And keep in mind, you're going to be some of the spots that see more of that rain as we head into the afternoon. So you can see more of these popping out. And then further to the west, we also have some more of these flash flood warnings showing up into parts of Hardin County, Meade County, and Breckenridge County as well. So that shuts off a little bit earlier, but it's still something that we have to watch for out later on today because it's in these spots. Here we go. That one is until, you're all good, until 10:30, as you said, slow time.
It's slow time and fast time, is what you say in central Kentucky. Trust me, I know that.
But yeah, these are the spots that saw reported 2+ inches of rain already this morning. So anything you see in addition to that is going to cause issues. And Breckenridge County is where we saw a couple of reports of people being rescued. So turn around, don't drown. I don't want to see any videos of anybody driving through waters. I don't care if you have a giant truck, please don't do it. And
usually we've been facing these scenarios so far this season at night. So at least we have daytime. So hopefully you're able to see the obvious flooding on a road ahead of you. But yeah, Twan's right. If you don't even know, even if it's a familiar road, it could have changed. It could have washed out. So you don't want to just take that chance.
Yeah, don't.
And unfortunately, a lot of people still do. And you can certainly see where the bands have been repeating, and they're all at an angle, very sharp angle.
Yes.
Which is the trend on everything. Everything is more what we call positively tilt. Now, it will begin to shift a little more. The rain bands will become a little more southwest to northeast here as we get this afternoon. But at the moment, they're very sharply angled. I don't want to have Louisville's total available yet. But you know what? Let me check. And
it really started
let me check my house. My house is actually fairly close to whatever the airport usually gets. I'm at 1.66. So I think it's pretty close to what Louisville's got as well. So some of you, again, over that 2.5 mark. All right, now let me show you, and I apologize, I got the flash flood warnings up, but this is actually the low-level jet right over us at the moment.
This is the first time you ever made me not like the color purple. So thanks for that.
Right, you're welcome. You're welcome. There's a lot of people who love purple. Yeah, this jet, I mean, it's right into the area where the warm sector is. You can tell the warm front has passed by. That is now lifted to the north of wave country, but it's underneath this wind belt. We got to watch now to see how thunderstorms evolve. But this is going to happen fast. This is not a setup we have to wait. Some of the modeling is going like 5 or 6 p.m. I don't think we're going to have to wait that long. I think everything's going to be a lot faster than what is being indicated. All right, here's your severe risk. This started to be a widespread enhanced one all the way into Ohio, and they've been trimming it to the south and east slowly but surely, focusing on where the best potential, because there is a lot of wind shear over the area. But as far as the type of shear that allows for what you guys are probably wondering about, tornado potential, that potential is leaving the area here very soon. The amount of instability that's trying to build is also trying to build over us. But again, the best rotation is starting to leave the region. So there's just a small overlap that happens. And around lunch today, we got to watch for. Once we get past lunch, I just don't see much of that ability to have a lot of rotating storms after that. Most of the action will be just straight line wind.
Yeah, and that's going to be still something everybody needs to pay attention
Absolutely,
to.
It's still dangerous.
Because I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, severe thunderstorm warning, that's not as bad as a tornado warning. And we've had situations in the past where we've gotten significant damage just from the straight line wind. So everyone needs to be paying attention for sure. But yeah, that shift further to the south was the big thing for this morning, but everyone still needs to be paying attention. But it looks like Kentucky is the focus for right now.
Yeah, and we've got most of our crews heading to roughly the parkway. So hold on, got a spammer. Got a spammer.
I don't know what that is.
I'll take it. I get a lot of spammers. I do. They like to try to trick me. Don't click on the link, whatever when you see those.
It's because they know you're squinting at the Not the screen a little bit.
Phyllis, I saw your question there about hail.
Expecting hail. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
It's changed a lot.
We've had a lot of penny size reports out west, but I haven't seen anything larger than that. So you may get small hail, but as far as like, golf ball size or baseball size hail, this is not a setup for that. All right. So that's good. All right. Your severe risk, again, enhanced level 3 out of 5, roughly around 64 and south. And I think even the parkways are the main focal point. As I was mentioning, that's where most of our crews are going to be today is around the parkway. So E-Town, Bardstown. Yeah. If we have to go west into Breckenridge County, we're ready to do that. Or if we're ready to head east toward Marion County or Washington if we need to. But the parkways is the area certainly that we're going to be focused on here for a while. I'm sorry, Phyllis, back up. Sorry, Phyllis. All right, let me. Here's your tornado potential. It's elevated, but it's not high.
This hasn't changed very much.
No, it hasn't. It has, and it really is angled because it's trying to follow again the best spinning potential that's leaving the area. So it kind of follows with it. That's why it's angled that way, and southeast of the track of the low. So it all makes sense. So that's easy to figure out. The straight line wind potential is still the main trigger for why we have it enhanced. It's not the tornado potential. A 5% tornado potential would still be a slight risk. Yeah. So to get the 30% on damaging winds, a straight line wind, that will trigger an enhanced. And that's the reason why we have it in that exact spot. So that still is the main threat for the area. Someone said we lost sound. Did we lose sound?
You want me to pull out my phone?
Let me know. They'll tell me. Trust me. They'll tell
Please
me.
let us
Type 1 if you can hear us. Type 2 if you can't hear us. And type 3 if you just really don't want to hear us.
I mean, either way is fine.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be a lot of threes. There'll be a lot of threes.
Okay. Sound is good. Sound is good.
We'll get some ones in here, I think, here in a second. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So there's your straight line wind potential. There we go. They're the ones. Thank you all. You're great. Your hail potential, again, is not even
gone, yeah,
not even right. And that's large hail. I mean, again, you could still get penny size hail, but you're not going to get your large hail. Who put a 3? Kayla, you put a 3.
Kayla, you're now my best friend.
She's trying to sneak it in there like I didn't see it, but I saw it.
I love it.
I saw it. All right. So the storm energy. This we showed yesterday how it was around part of the morning, and then suddenly, as you move towards, my hands going to camera.
I like it. No.
Sorry. The storm energy then surged into areas of central Kentucky at midday. That really stood out yesterday. Now watch what happens here as we head through the midday period right along the parkways in South Central Kentucky. That is where, again, there is that overlap that happens. So that's why we have our crews dispatched to that area of wave country right now, just in case something were to develop. But that is a spot we're watching. Now, for Louisville and for really anywhere north of the parkways, there is still another surge it tries to build in as we into this afternoon, but you can tell it's really struggling to really register. These are actually, I mean, it's red, and everyone thinks red is bad, but in this case, red is actually weak on this. So there's not a lot. There's not a lot to work. And you can see the sharp line. So that's the obviously the cold front.
Cold front coming through, and that's when we'll start to see the temperatures like plummeting later on today.
Absolutely. And it's got 8 p.m. I don't know again if it's going to take that long, but I think it's going to be a little faster. The storms do tend to move faster than what modeling shows. But rotation tracks, again, these are just rotating thunderstorm cells. That doesn't always mean tornadoes.
Yes.
But it gives us an idea. It's a good tool to look at to see, well, if there will be strong rotation, well, we need to look at that cell in case it becomes a cell that has stronger rotation values than what the modeling shows. And you see just hints of it, hints scattered about where there are some rotating cells as you would expect through the lunch hour. And then you don't see too much at the very end. So these values are not high, but it does tell us that we can't escape the idea. I can't say that there's not going to be a tornado warning. There could be at some point this midday into the afternoon, but the chance of getting a severe thunderstorm warning is higher than the tornado warning.
So we just still have to watch, of course, the damaging wind threat, but that's still, of course. And then a lot of people are, Becky May asks, looks like a roo is covered in red. Should I panic? The answer is always no to panic. Preparedness, we're giving you all the information now so you can be okay and just be aware of what's going to be happening later on today. So please don't panic. I know a lot of people's anxiety has been high since earlier this morning.
Well, and speaking of that, Sabrina, I have high anxiety when the storms come through. So thanks for the info. Welcome. And again, that's why we're on. We're just trying to explain where we're at in this setup because there's been so much of a buildup to it. We get it. but we're now not, I mean, we got some modeling and tools, but a lot of it is truly just the satellite and radar. We're now casting now at this point. So we're able to get an idea of where the modeling is right or not right. And right now, the idea is this is not a major event. It's important to note that it will not be a major event. This is just a setup here, though, that's obviously any tornado is not good. So I don't want to say, oh, just one or two tornadoes could form. Yeah. I don't want to say that as being in a factor of downplaying situation. A tornado is a tornado, right? You still got to get ready just in case. And that threat has not gone away. It's just not a major outbreak scenario. I hope that made sense. We're on guard, though. We're ready for it just in case something were to get issued. Here's Futurecast. You see what happens in that midday period, how those cells that, again, how things evolve out of Paducah is so crucial right now because the rain itself it's got an inversion over us now. I saw that on the sounding. So what that basically means is to get damaging winds in the area right now is difficult. But as we add moisture into the atmosphere and we destabilize, you end up allowing, we lose that shield that we had. And at that point, damaging winds can make it to the surface and you can get some spinning going on. And you see how that looks like it's going to line up very close there to the parkways. Now, you know, one thing that can happen with rain the way it is in the area, the rain cooled air does, there's a strong south flow, no doubt, but the rain cooled air does seep in pretty much all directions in this case here. It may try to push that boundary a little more south where the storm line will be. So it's not definitive it's there. But the next 2 hours, the radar trends out of Paducah
would be super crucial.
Big time.
And then as we head past this point, everything starts to shut off. So this is once you get towards 5, 6 o'clock, that front starts to move through, and then that severe threat really starts to drop off. And then we just completely go to a whole other season as we head into tonight. So for those of you who are snow lovers, you might be able to squint.
She put this in here. I didn't want to put it in here. I said, we're not showing snow. We're not doing that.
I mean, might as well. Give everyone something to look forward to after all of this today, right?
Winter's over. No, the winter's not over.
Winter is not over. You know how March goes.
But this winter, for me, it's like, please, let's just wrap it up. Let's go with the next winter and see if we can do better. That's how my mindset is. But anyway, it's not technically over. All right. Okay. This is, this is always
fun stuff that I'm just going to get my notes for.
This is a look at the atmosphere. This is a lot of data. All right. But I really want to be very transparent here. This is a sounding. So basically, I've showed this before, but you're looking at the atmosphere sideways. Okay. So the lines that really we're looking at here today, this is your moisture line that's in green, temperature line in red. You're looking at the atmosphere sideways. So we're right here. We're standing, actually right there is where we're standing, and airplanes fly up here. So you're looking at everything sideways like a cake, right? So we're looking at see how the parcel itself, the air parcel, it's hard to say.
Say it again.
Parcel.
There you go.
Air parcel.
Yeah, there's a lot
that's,
of no, not
that's
air.
Anyway,
I can't do it either.
That's a little more difficult to track until you have like a sounding like this, where we get real-time reports from weather balloons, which we don't launch weather balloons, by the way, in Louisville. They're only launched in Wilmington, Ohio, Cincinnati, and Nashville, Tennessee. But they still can give us a general idea of the Ohio Valley, how it's arranged, all right? So these are model estimates on soundings, just to be clear. But that's not the main tool I'm looking at. What I'm looking at is actually the wind direction at the ground up. And notice as we head toward midday, this is around, I would say, Hodgenville to E-Town. The arrow itself, and it's even hard to see for me, it's more of a south wind or a little bit southwest, right at the ground level, and then it veers more southwest and almost west as you go higher up and gets quite strong. If we were to get more of a wind arrow at the ground that was more southeast coming into this storm, we would be very concerned about tornadoes. The idea that this is veering a little more south, if not a little southwest, means there still could be a tornado because, again, you still got wind rolling through. You got to keep in mind, tornadoes do not start off vertically. They start off horizontal. They are rolled, all right? And it's rolled until we get into an updraft, and it bends it in the middle. One part of it will become the tornado. The other part disappears. So that's how the process works on speed shear. So you end up with a strong wind field horizontally. We just got to see if there's going to be enough CAPE, which is that red that we were showing. The amount of red or the fuel is key on that because that's what will bend it and begin to tilt it. But that's just with regular speed shear. In this case here, who's Rock? They're getting creative with their names, these Spaniards are. Okay, sorry about that. All right, you go. So anyway, so you do still have a wind component in speech here that you do have a tornado threat in that area, midday, LaRue County, Hardin County, and Nelson County. Now, if I look at Louisville later, a little bit later, about 3, 4 o'clock. Well, I did look at Louisville. What happened there?
There you go.
Did it zoom in?
No, it did not.
It did not zoom in. Okay. Well, anyway, I meant to do that, and I apologize. But the wind field, and it's hard to see, the wind field there is strongly southwest in Louisville. So our potential to get tornadoes is even more reduced in the Louisville area compared to what Central Kentucky will have for midday. But it's still not zero, but it's reduced. It's reduced. Hopefully that made sense. I want to at least give you guys a little bit more of the transparent data trends to show how we are looking at everything, because it's not just radar and satellite as well. It is, how the wind fields are above our head.
We have to watch the whole atmosphere to figure out how things are going. And then, of course, we're talking about Paducah. So as we head through the rest of the day, right now, as we head through this hour, basically, I was about to say the 10 a.m. hour, and then I looked up. So it's going to be that flooding concern. And then as we get past lunchtime, that's when it gets a little bit back into that severe threat, of course, right along and south of the parkways. So we have to keep that till that front moves through until about 6. And then we can calm down a little bit more.
And if you look at the Wave Weather app, you're likely going to see different numbers than what we have here, especially in Central Kentucky.
Yeah, we've tweaked those numbers.
Yeah, you'll see more of a spike, because we're trying to account for the band that's going to form here in the next few hours and re-intensify in Central Kentucky. So there'll be spikes there. But Louisville probably will have a little bit more of a smaller spike window. Again, until the cold front comes through, we are not out of the danger zone. So the faster we get that through here, the better we're going to be. And it will be within the next 6 hours, we will have the front through the area. But it's just going to be a kind of a check, balances kind of idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. That didn't make sense. Anyway, we're going to be.
I know you too well.
I'm not having any sleep at all. So I apologize. This is important because you've already seen some video as well and photos of the flooding. So if it's safe to do so, we would love to see your videos and your phones.
So just scroll down.
Photos.
Yeah. And so use your phones. He was getting there. So scroll down to the bottom of the app and you can submit it in the Wave Weather app. And even in the news app, you can submit it there too. And my favorite comment is Debbie. Brian not wanting to show snow. The world as we know it is ending. That is when you panic.
Hey, it only happens on Thursdays. Just on Thursdays, I'm a little more hesitant.
No, that's fair. That's fair. So that's definitely going to be the big thing, making sure you send in your photos and videos throughout the day and just keeping an eye on the Wave Weather app, because that's one of the places that we update first. And if your location is turned on, and your notifications are turned on, then it will literally follow you. I know it sounds creepy, but it will follow you wherever you go. I mean, I've been in Florida and it sent me notifications about severe weather. So it is great that way.
And the alerts can be overwhelming for other areas. I mean, if you guys have seen the video on my Facebook page, you have an idea what it sounds like in the weather office when we get alerts. So I get it. Sometimes you don't want to hear all that, but we do, because we get every alert. So we're kind of used to the sound. All right. So what questions can I try to answer? Hopefully we answered a lot of it. And let me go back to the radar while we get to some of your questions. And hopefully some of those will be, let's see.
I think there were.
Everyone's all about the snow.
Yeah.
See, it's
just,
storms.
It's just flurries, because everyone's like, we want winter.
I'd rather have snow. Kayla, you want the Twix.
I mean,
I'm surprised people still remember that I eat Twix all the time. That's old
you
school.
You still have a whole stash, don't you?
I do.
I might have to replenish that stash
right now, because we got a lot going on.
So there was one person who did ask about Ashley Nicole about the bust potential. She wanted to know what would have to happen for today to be a complete bust.
Well, some of that is happening, because one of the things we're questioning is the heating. We thought there's a potential to get into the 70s. Unlikely now to see that. There are some breaks, but they're going to be very short-lived, and I don't think it's going to be enough to make a difference. And most of those sun breaks will be probably east or west of the wave country itself. But as far as a bust potential locally, I think the only thing that would be that case for Louisville is because the storms that form in Central Kentucky at lunch today will act as a barrier when that moisture is trying to destabilize Louisville and southern Indiana. That our area is going to have a tough time doing that, because the storm is going to be so active. So this is not good in a sense for those of you in Nelson County, LaRue County, and Hardin County, because you'll be facing the storms and flash flooding issue here through lunch. But north of where that sets up, it will steal some of the energy away. So in Louisville and southern Indiana, our threat gets even more reduced because there's a shield blocking us to the south.
So that does
help. So there is some bust potential on that. Yeah. It just depends on where you're at. It really does.
And I think there was another, you just scrolled way past it. Okay. I don't know where it went then.
It's over here somewhere.
Okay, so what time, there was the question I was looking for. Abby Hill, what time do you think it would be safe to travel from Bardstown to Nashville? Do you have to do it today? Is my next question.
That's a good point.
If you can wait till tomorrow, go for it. But I don't know about, it's just one of those, I don't know if I want you to drive through this rain because that just didn't seem safe to me with the heavy rain. That's visibility issues on its own.
The drive isn't bad because, as you know, you lose an hour going to Nashville. So I think it's maybe I would say an hour altogether is the reality of time. By the time you get there, it's only an hour later.
That is true.
So if you can wait until after 5 or 6 o'clock and you'll get there their time about 7, I think you'll be fine. If you can hold on, and if that doesn't matter as much to you, then I think you'll be all right.
Yeah. And then here was Amanda May. So is right above it. I think. No. So is the Parkway in Kentucky at higher risk for severe weather than Indiana? Yeah, basically. That's the big thing for today. Further south you are, especially along the Parkway.
Oh, and I meant to put the radar on. I apologize. I didn't hit the button.
I didn't even realize it didn't. I just saw it here and I thought it was.
My apologies.
My brain was not even.
And again, when you look at the radar, right now, we're not seeing anything severe happening here. This is all flooding.
But in that little batch further west, you can certainly see it trying to.
This is where we got to wait and see how you can see how it is already starting to lift more north in this zone. While this morning, if you look carefully, everything was a little more east or northeast.
Yeah.
But this little push north, this is what we're going to be watching as we head through the next few hours. How does this evolve? Because it's going to become a little more of an angle. So you can see it's got more of a C shape to it. That is what we're going to be watching. That's going to be pushing into central and southern Kentucky. And it is a bit odd because normally you would not expect strong thunderstorms on the backside of a steady rain event, but that's kind of the case we're facing because it's destabilizing due to moisture, really.
So everything's being a little bit funky today. Freddie, I saw your question. I will make sure to post a link to the Wave Weather app as soon as we're done with this, so you can find it pretty easy, and everybody can download it and be safe. And you can share that post as well to family.
Okay, yeah, I see Freddie there.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, unfortunately, I've got to get going. Twana needs to get sleep.
Oh, I can hang out with you a little longer. You can't get rid of me yet.
Twana needs to get sleep. And
obviously, I'm delusional.
No, it's always exciting. You always leave, so I never get a chance here. But I get ready for the midday show. Obviously, we're going to be ready to go for midday and through all of our shows here today, just in case something were to develop here the next few hours. Right now, there is no immediate threat of that, but it is still, at least on paper, we have that potential. So if you are able to keep an eye on the Wave Weather app, weather radios, get them all plugged in and get ready. And let's see how the next few hours go. Hopefully, we end up with a tamer version of what we've been seeing so far. All right. Appreciate it all. Thanks for joining us, everyone. All your comments as well.
Wow, you got to scroll. Sir.
Even if you type 3, we still love you. All right. You guys take care. I'll see you coming up on the flip side at midday. Take care, guys.